Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are all well. Welcome, and thank you very much for joining me today in the Aspire Australia webinar, session 1 on state sponsorship. We are on a mission to provide clear and correct information so that you can make decisions that will allow you to achieve your goal, which is your golden ticket to open the door to the visa and your dream of living and working in Australia. My name's Sarah Gillis, and I've been a registered migration agent for more than 25 years now. And over that time, I've helped thousands of clients achieve their residence through the General Skilled Migration Program. And I would surely like to help you too. But as we've seen, the program has got more and more difficult to manoeuvre through. So today, I hope that we can give you the overview of state sponsorship and, as I said, allow you to make decisions about proceeding with your GSM process. So today you're in the right place if you aspire to living a great life in Australia and you're motivated to do what it takes to achieve your goal, because sometimes it's not easy. And of course, you want the clear, correct and current information that will help you. By the end of today's session, you will learn why states and territories offer sponsorship, understand why you would pursue a state sponsorship, and get an overview of state sponsorship options for FY22. So every year, the Australian government announces a migration program and numbers. And these numbers are a cap and not a quota. And it's important to remember that because there may not be that many visas granted in any particular year. So here's the FY22 program, total 160,000 cap. And you can see there's an almost even spread between skilled and family visas. So we're looking within the skilled group, and those 79,600 visas are going to be shared between business, global talent, employer sponsored, and general skilled migration. And within general skilled migration, we're looking at the two categories which can utilise state sponsorship: the 190 permanent residence state nominated visa and the temporary 491 visa. The 189 visa you see there is the independent category visa. So what in fact is state sponsorship? It is a program that allows states, territories and regional areas to gain a long-term economic advantage by acquiring skilled migrants. It allows them to address their changing skills needs within that particular region, and it operates via a selection process, including an occupation list and other selection criteria. So why would you look into state or territory sponsorship? Well, for visa applicants, it offers an alternative to the very competitive high points strategy under general skilled migration, where you are competing for places based on the points that you can achieve personally. Under state and territory sponsorship, you have a broader range of occupations to choose from, not just the medium and long-term list, which is available for independent migrants. But on the flip side, you have to make a commitment to settling in a specific area of Australia. So I'd like to show you the role that state sponsorship played in the recently completed 2021 financial year. So here we have the numbers of skilled independent visas invited during the program year, so a total of 1,690. And in the family-sponsored 491 category, 743. Now that is a large increase. 5 years ago, we would have seen virtually zero invitations in this category. But if you add the independent and family-sponsored together, you'll get a total of less than 2,500 visa invitations were issued during 2021. Now compare that to the numbers invited under the state sponsorship programs, 4,300 in the permanent 190 and 3,200 in the 491 temporary. So that's approximately 7,500. So 3 times more invited for the regional visas than for the independent visas. So you can see for yourself where the opportunities lie. Now, it's also important to note that, as I mentioned before, the planning levels are not quotas that must be filled each year. So the planning level for 2021, if you look at the totals down the very bottom, was something like 22,500 visas. But in fact, only 7,500 visas were issued. So whilst it's interesting to look at the planning levels, unfortunately, it doesn't tell the whole story. Now, during 2021, we still had the effects of COVID, and the federal government directed states and territories towards which occupations they should be nominating, and the federal government put other restrictions on states and territories, so they perhaps could not invite as many or a broader group of candidates as they would have liked. Hopefully, with the borders opening up, at least partially within the next 12 months, we hope that the planning levels for FY22 will hopefully be met. So if we look at those planning levels, you can see the numbers, but also interestingly, which states and territories are getting more visas allocated this year, which have lost some and which have remained the same. For those states and territories where there are increased numbers, we can perhaps have a bit of increased confidence that there may be more opportunities available. And where the numbers are steady or have dropped, we would perhaps expect that the selection criteria are going to be more stringent. So all in all, and we can see the totals there, 27,000. So it's just a little bit more than the planning levels for financial year 21. However, as I said, 21 did not meet the planning level. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and we'll have to see what happens as the year rolls out. But it does mean that there are opportunities available. The opportunities may be, as I said, more stringent in the selection criteria. And those selection criteria often include requirements that the candidate lives, studies, or works in their nominated occupation in the particular region of the state or territory where sponsorship is being sought. Sometimes English levels are increased beyond the standard competent required for general skilled migration. So candidates may need to have a higher level of English. For some states and territories, specific employment experience may be required, or alternatively, a job offer to work in that state or territory. And there could be other requirements, such as candidates having settlement funds or showing their commitment to living and working and settling in that state or regional area. Because the main things the states want to achieve is settled migrants in their area and in the occupation. So to fill existing occupation shortages or to support the growth of particular industries and sectors which those states are trying to encourage through a variety of means, and certainly migration forms a part of that process. Now, states and territories will also want to ensure that they're selecting candidates who are not only committed to living and working in the state, but are job ready if they are not already employed. So it's important to keep that in mind when you're thinking about your own priorities or choices, that you will need to show to any state or territory your intentions to live there following any visa grant. So we have 2 territories and 6 states in Australia, and each of those will have their own selection criteria. And in the next session next week, we're going to have a very deep dive into each of those states and territories and to all the requirements that they have in the different programs they're offering. So it will be a very content-heavy program next week, but we'll be supplementing that with a guide that we will email you that will summarise the criteria nicely for you. Before entering this webinar today, I hope you have already reviewed our General Skilled Migration webinar, but if you haven't yet done that, we will email you a link to the webinar, because it's very important that you understand where state sponsorship fits into the overall program and the steps that you must undertake before you have the opportunity of seeking state sponsorship. And if you can't wait till the end of this series of 4 webinars and you'd like to get advice, then feel free to use the special offer that we have already emailed you for a consultation with me. Otherwise, we will be going through a lot of detail in the ensuing webinars. Today was an overview and a little introduction, and it gives us time to spend time in ensuring we've got all the information for the next session, because it's not all yet available for each of the states. But overall, I want to tell you that we'd love to help you on your journey, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Bring along your notepad and pen, and please also the following week for session 3, we'll be diving into some particular occupations. So if you would like your occupation to be spotlighted, please email us so that we can hopefully run through that as a working example next time. But look, until then, have a great week, stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.